Memory makes agents more useful, there's no doubt, but it also makes them easier to compromise permanently. If prompt injection is just one bad input hitting at one time in the agent space, the user space, memory poisoning is one bad input that becomes a standing order. And if you want a one-line threat model, it's memory is persistence. And persistence is what turns a one-off incident into an ongoing compromise. Now, when people say memory, they usually mean things like user-saved memories, long-lived notes on tasks, understanding prior decisions and outcomes, skills, or long-running scratch pads of facts. Memory reduces user friction. It allows users to be more productive. But it is dangerous because it turns untrusted interactions into long-term compromising paths. If an attacker can overwrite your memory or interact and influence the memory of your agent, they're going to completely shape the behavior of the future. Now, even if you fix the original prompt, those memories will still live in the agent's space. They'll still be available to the agent during runtime. Even if you've already changed the system prompt or you change the underlying RAG data that the agent is working with. And this change should shift your mind from did we stop a jailbreak to can one singular interaction influence my entire application? Because that's a materially different risk profile. Because at that point, triggers can be delayed. The incident or the attack could happen weeks later. And according to your monitoring and observability, that agent could just be performing like any given day. Listen, here's a realistic failure mode that I've actually seen. An attacker interacts with your corporate assistant and they persuade it. They social engineer it. Maybe they send it a fake policy doc or a plausible internal document that you're using to create tickets with something incredibly simple and benign sounding, like all finance transactions need to go through this email. Or when somebody interacts with this portal, make sure it goes through this external link. At the time, nothing explodes. Everything continues as usual. But those instructions get stored in memory and it just starts to look like a helpful workflow. You remember in my last video about RAG poisoning, it's very similar, but this is in the memory of the agent. This is in the application layer. So then in this compromise, maybe weeks later, an employee says, let's summarize our Q4 results. And that triggers this workflow. The agent retrieves the poisoned memory and then makes the call out to the third-party service. It expands the risk service and exfiltrates your data without your knowledge. The reason this is so pernicious is it's delayed, it's plausibly deniable, and it just looks like a standard workflow. You could have the most incredible prompt filtering, and it still won't catch situations like this, where memory is changed. Memory has persistent prompt injection. You may have extremely strong refusal models that are preventing your agent from doing work, but unless you have proper separation within the systems that are running your agents, actions can still happen on your behalf without your knowledge. Malicious actions. But if memories pulled down are to be trusted, the agent is basically jailbreaking itself in the past. So memory now needs its own security model. And here are some practical controls that actually work. First off, I would just say make sure that memory is explicitly allowed by users. And in that control model, the first thing is to not have shared memory. Each instance of a service, each instance with your user should have their own isolated contained memory. And never cross between users. Do not allow users to create shared persistent memories. 2, I think those memories should require explicit approval by the user. An agent shouldn't be allowed to just infer what a user meant and then write that into memory. It should say, do you want to memorize this? I've actually had a big problem with this with ChatGPT where I've asked it to always get my approval before memorizing something, and I'll tell you, it never does. We should have additional scoping, just beyond just the user. We should have memory scopes per project, per time window. Memory should have a TTL, and they should fall off the older they get. And 3, every memory should have a provenance tag. We should understand when and why memories were created. And 4, I think tiered version of memories where we have low, medium, and high risk memories that are persisted based on the level of trust we have with this particular interaction. I think the key here is that untrusted notes or highly risky notes aren't given or granted the permission to do action on your system. We should quarantine or have reviews on very impactful memories. Things that have the ability to write to disk or to call out to network should have extra eyes on them. I think memory drift should be monitored. We should understand when, why, and where memories changed and evolved over time. I think we should treat memory like a configuration surface because essentially that's exactly what it is. Memory is absolutely a superpower. So let's treat it like that. Let's make writes privileged. Let's make memory tainted until it's verified. Together we can make memory more secure for our systems, users, and agents. My name is David Campbell. Please subscribe, check out the content if you're interested in learning more about AI security and AI risk.